Hi, everybody. Let me know how the noise levels are. I'm looking at Paizo's test video, and which is playing some music. Let me know if the sound levels are okay. I want you to be able to hear what they're saying and also hear what I'm saying. And I will try not to interrupt them. Okay, well, here's their test video again. Just give me feedback throughout. Okay, I hope everyone's doing well. I almost missed this stream. It's only because I was browsing YouTube last night that I saw a notification that Paizo was going to do a live broadcast of their keynote. And then when I looked into it further, I saw that actually their YouTube stream was 1 hour later than their actual keynote, because I independently went on their GenCon page to confirm look at their upcoming schedule, which it actually turns out it's on Twitch that they actually broadcast it live. So if any of you are waiting and want to watch Paizo's keynote and you're waiting at the YouTube, you'll want to switch to, well, you're already here. Make sure you're looking at their Twitch. Keynote starts at 3 Eastern, yeah. Okay. Do a voiceover for Mona. I can't do that. I don't know what he's gonna say. Oh yes, what I'm showing on the screen is the GenCon schedule that is that they've posted. So let's look at that. So 12 p.m. Pacific, which is where I'm at, we'll see the keynote address from Erik Mona. And then an hour later, start your Pathfinder adventure. If anyone knows what that means, I'm not sure, because I guess it has to do with a beginner box or for people who are new to Pathfinder. I first thought it was about upcoming adventure modules, but there's something tomorrow that makes me think that's for the modules in APs. Then launch into Starfinder, and then organized play. I'm only planning to, personally, my interest in Starfinder has, I don't have any current Starfinder campaigns and I have limited time today, so I plan to only watch the keynote, but maybe start your Pathfinder adventure I'm going to be hyped about too, maybe, we'll see. But if folks want to get hyped and talk about Starfinder, that's going to be in about 2 hours. And then tomorrow, it looks like we'll have a deeper dive into the upcoming Pathfinder. Oh, thank you, Shan Wolf, for the donation. I supremely agree with your takes regarding PF2E advocacy. Thank you for posting that. Yeah, I really wanted to post that. It's something I had planned in late June. I wrote the outline for it, but you know, I knew it would take some work to get right. And I wanted to focus on the Dark Archive material. So on Friday, there's it looks like a deeper dive in the upcoming Pathfinder books that give rules options for players, and the Lost Omens books, followed by Starfinder Present and Future. So that's probably like a keynote on Starfinder, and what we see today is going to be like, you know, if you're new to Starfinder, what should you do? Maybe it's kind of like two orientations for Pathfinder and Starfinder to precede their organized play for people to sample those games in the afternoon. Okay, then third on Friday is Pathfinder Adventures Ahead. I expect there to be more details about upcoming modules and adventures. I'm going to see if I can stream about that. Though I'm more about the rules options, honestly. I'm probably going to stream the first thing only. Infinite Publishing Guide for people who want to publish through the new Pathfinder Infinite program. Then Find the Path Live Dino Roundup. I don't know what that is. Maybe someone in chat can say. VTT play on Saturday. Pathfinder's Workshop. Starfinder Workshop. I don't know what these workshops are. What's workshop? And then Ask the Paizo GMs. So tips and advice for running Pathfinder. Now I'm going to try to catch up on my messages. And also, if you support me making content, please support my Patreon, and also consider leaving, I think there's a link to Stream Elements donations, but That's the preferred way. Okay. Yeah, we may hear about a new class today. That's probably the biggest anticipated news we'll get. The keynotes is usually when they give their biggest announcements in the past. So, and I don't know if they have announced classes in previous keynotes. If someone remembers that from a previous year, let me know, or whether they save that for the deeper dive on his rulebook. Okay. What classes do you want to see? I want to see Shifter. You know, I don't know what classes I want to see. I don't. I'm someone who, when I watch a movie, I don't speculate on what the things will come up next. I tend to just get lost in the narrative. So, seems like the important stuff is today and tomorrow. Yep. I will be watching the keynote and playing playing it here. So if you want to participate in the chat on Twitch, you can do so, but you won't miss anything if you mute them on Twitch and then join me here. Of course, if you find my commentary too distracting, I will, I tend to not be super vocal, by the way. If you're looking for a particular style of reaction, I won't deliver. I'm just going to be me. Do we want to take a wager on if they're going to Starfinder 2E? Now, I will say probably not. I would be nicely surprised, though, if they announced that. Ooh, that is an interesting question from Shan Wolf. I think personally that we're going to see some, if I were to guess, that there'd be first a something akin to 1E's technology guide first for Pathfinder 2E of super futuristic tech, which would be a testing ground for a Starfinder 2E is my guess. I think that would happen first. Okay, thank you, Zolgathor. Okay. Okay, I'm reading through the rest. The fruit cart salesman class. Yes, we need that. Some of my kids have been clamoring. Oh, PF2E Workshop is having the designers design something on the fly. That sounds interesting. Find the Path Live, according to RPG Musings, is someone, a GM from Paizo, running one of the Pathfinder 2E's bounties, a short adventure. Dinosaur Shenanigans aplenty. Oh, that's the Ride the Dino one? Dino Roundup, yep. At the end of the day tomorrow. Yeah, Kineticist is something I'd be excited for. That is something I would look forward to. Something that satisfies the Blaster Caster fantasy, which may be a little simpler in play than the Psychic, I think, but also simpler than the 1E Kineticist, which I think I liked it, but some people want it to be a simple class, and the Kineticist for 1E demanded a lot of the player. Okay, lots of chat. I'm not gonna be able to read them all, unfortunately. Let me see how I'm doing with making sure we can all hear them. Okay, let's test out.
There's something up there.
Okay. How are the volume levels? Give me some feedback on that.
Cloverfield Lane.
I'm not frightened by a bear.
It's not a bear.
The Predator's first hunt on Earth is the movie event you can't miss.
You think you're ready?
Volume good. Okay.
Prey, rated R, streaming Friday, only on Hulu.
Okay, and this is how Paizo sets its volume. Oh, there's the schedule for today. This is maybe a different stream than before. Okay. Volume level is lower than my voice level. So we probably want that a little reverse, shall we? So I'm gonna do this. Tell me how it is now. The music's kind of distorted sounding. No, well, Okay, volume seems pretty perfect right now, according to one witness. Yeah, they have to tune their instruments. What's going on? Okay, this is funny. Oh, so this is not their test video. This is actually their stream that we're watching. Yeah. They have crit failed a performance check. Yes. Something's going on. I wonder if that's going to distort Erik Mona's voice too. Alright, I'm not hearing complaints about volume levels, so I will take that as a good sign. It's always those who complain that actually say something. What was I gonna say? Okay, but start your Pathfinder adventure. I'm gonna guess I'm probably not gonna stay online for that. I think that's oriented towards people brand new who are gonna. But if there's some new product, that's what will keep me online. Sounds like two music streams coming together. Like, yeah. Maybe this is a metaphor. Okay, let's make wild. Let's make wild predictions of what we'll hear, and wrong answers only. Let's do that. I'm gonna say Starfinder 2E is a wrong answer, which I would love to hear about. Oh, someone says the stream is not distorted when they listen to Twitch audio, and I should refresh my stream. Okay, let's see. Starfinder crossover with PF2E. That would be a cool idea. Pathfinder 2E is now completely compatible with 5e. That would be very, very... that would send shockwaves throughout the industry. And maybe they can unionize Wizards of the Coast while they're at it. Okay, the music sounds better to me. The problem was me all along. Stadt der Wunder, Tiefwasser. I speak German, by the way. I plan to do a German video at some point. Paizo making Mythic for 5e. Well, it's already broken, so... Oh no, did Rules Lawyer become, was that an edition warning comment? I tend to get spicier than in my published videos, but you know, my criticisms are towards the system and WotC more than I'm not against the players in 5e. Some of you guys are funny. I'm reading these comments. Oh yeah, Tiefwasser. Yeah, it was you who spoke with me on my Discord about German. I need to consult you, and there was a couple of at least two other German people on my server I need to talk to. I want to prepare something for that. Okay, parallelogram. I don't know the answer to the German translation for Ranger. You'll have to ask Tiefwasser. Paizo is going to adopt WotC's naming conventions. The next book is Fumbus's Elixir of Everything. Or Potion of Elixir. That would be a nice announcement. German streams about Pathfinder 2e. See you later, Ezekiel. Waldläufer. Alright, looks like 60 more seconds. We'll see. Okay, we're probably going to hear about some major release between now and next GenCon. I don't know if we heard about Dark Archive. No, what happened a year ago was we knew about Dark Archive from the keynote, I believe, and then we got the playtests in September for Dark Archive. So we may know about next year's Gen Con. We might hear about 2 major rules releases today. That's my expectation. And if you don't mind, I'm eating some cereal. Once the stream starts, I'm going to take a food break and mute my microphone for those of you who can't hear eating online, which is a new condition that I've learned about recently. I didn't know I could be so talkative on a stream. Fighter is now banned in Pathfinder Society. Fiesta.
Hello, everyone. I
Hello,
am
Erik.
Erik Mona, the publisher and chief creative officer at Paizo, and I am thrilled to welcome you to Paizo's keynote address for this most auspicious and exciting Gen Con week. We are so glad to have opportunity to meet with you both in person at our booth and in the Sagamore Ballroom at Gen Con Indy, and of course on our Discord and our gaming live this weekend throughout the week on our Twitch channel, where we're doing a host of seminars and programming and workshops. Anywhere that we are going to be and you are going to be, we're looking forward to getting to see you and say hi and show off some of the stuff that we've just released, some of the stuff we've announced, and even some stuff we have not announced yet. So this is it. It's the big week. Gen Con is finally upon us for an entire schedule of Paizo's activities, both at the show and online. Please go to paizo.com/GenCon. You'll see an entire schedule of events. You'll see a way to get involved with our Pathfinder Society and Starfinder Society organized play programs, and even more. So go to paizo.com/GenCon and check out our schedule of events there. I'm just going to be scratching the surface today as I take you through now to about the middle of next year, and we go over all the various Pathfinder and Starfinder projects that we're going to be releasing in the meantime.
I don't know if this is recorded
but
or
an
not.
hour is not nearly long enough to go into all the details. So I encourage you to take a look at that seminar schedule, where members of our creative staff will be going in depth into a lot of the stuff that we're talking about. They'll also likely have Q&As as part of their panels as well. So if you see something that interests you in today's presentation and you want to find out more, check out that schedule of events, and someone else will very likely have even more details than I do.
They're approaching
So I've got,
600 on their
perhaps,
count. That's great.
Folks have known me to do before.
On
I
their
have
stream
a
count.
giant presentation in PowerPoint with lots and lots of art that no one has ever seen before, going further into the schedule than we've even announced publicly yet. But before I get to that, I want to talk about something else that has just arrived at Paizo itself and will soon be making its way out into the world. And what I am talking about at long last is our Kingmaker Adventure Path for 2nd edition,
Finally!
1st edition, and 5th edition. This is an ongoing project that we launched a couple of years ago on Game on Tabletop, and boy, those projects have a way of ballooning, and the balloon is literally here in my home office right now. Check this out, folks. It's so heavy. This is the entire slate of Kingmaker projects.
Nice.
Except that's not even true. It's not the entire slate. There's special edition covers that I'm missing. There's a slipcase that I'm missing. There's a couple of flip mats that I'm missing. When I went to the Paizo offices to grab this stack to show you folks today, I was like, it's too heavy and it's too much for an entire frame of the screen. No wonder it took us as long as it did to put it together. Look at all this stuff. In fact, let's take a closer look real quick before we get into the presentation. So this is the
I wanted
Kingmaker
this, but I couldn't
campaign
order
guide. It is in my hands. 600 pages of Pathfinder 2nd edition goodness. This is the world famous Kingmaker Adventure Path brought to Pathfinder 2nd edition for the very first time. A lot of people would tell you Kingmaker is the best adventure path that we've ever published, maybe even the best adventure path ever published. I am on that camp, so I'm very thrilled to have this book finally coming out. It's going to be shipped to our original Game on Tabletop backers in September, and then it will be released in stores in October as well. So by the end of October, don't worry if you missed your chance a couple years ago at Game on Tabletop, you will have the chance to pick this up on Paizo.com, at your friendly local retail store and bookstores.
And from what I'm hearing, Paizo's developers were involved in that.
This
in this
is the
so
biggest adventure we have ever published. It's got all kinds of new material in it from Owlcat's extremely successful Kingmaker computer game. So there's the equivalent of a couple of full new adventures in here. This adventure will take you from 1st to 20th level. It's been a huge labor of
20th
love,
level,
and
unlike
we're
the first
thrilled to
edition
have
one.
it finally coming out. So let's take a look at a couple of the other components of the Kingmaker project. And the one that really excites me is this one. This is the Kingmaker Companion Guide. This takes a number of different companions, largely inspired, in fact, wholly inspired from the Kingmaker computer game. And it talks about how you can introduce them as companions into your Pathfinder 2nd edition game. So this thing has got information on a whole ton of companions. It has got adventures that you can plug into your campaign throughout the course of the campaign that they bring to you, similar to how you might see that in a computer game. It's got the feats and spells and abilities or gear that they could teach or give you once you befriend them. And it's really like a holistic guide to how to add these characters to the Kingmaker campaign with tips on what to do with them at certain key story points and so on. Honestly, I was so impressed with this book. I think this will work even outside the Kingmaker campaign. So if you're just looking for some companions to go along with your player characters,
I wonder what they did to the
is gonna be a great
kingdom
resource.
management
128
rules.
pages coming out in September to backers and October in stores. We also know a lot of folks are still playing Pathfinder First Edition. So with this Pathfinder First Edition bestiary, you can kind of keep this open alongside your Kingmaker campaign guide, and all of the NPCs are listed in here alphabetically. So you just go from stat block in one book to stat block in here. Should have you covered. Some general advice as well on how to handle some of the non-stat block stuff that's a little bit different in Pathfinder 2nd Edition for Pathfinder First Edition. So if you're a First Edition stalwart and you just haven't had a chance to switch over to 2nd Edition yet, maybe you don't want to, you can grab this book, play it in the edition that you're comfortable with, and you should have a great time. Similarly, we know that there's a lot of folks who are playing 5e. We hear that's popular. So check this out. This is a companion guide. It is a bestiary that, like the first edition Pathfinder bestiary, you stick next to the full campaign guide as you run
no,
it.
it's
You just
over.
move
They're
your eyes
publishing
from
for
one book to the
5e,
other when it
folks.
comes to the stat blocks, and these have
We've
full
lost
5e stat blocks for all of the creatures in the book. So even outside of the Kingmaker Adventure Path, you're looking for and some new monsters to add to your 5e campaigns. This is going to be a great pickup.
He is
for you.
flexing that
This
living
also
room.
comes out September to backers, October
That
in
is
stores. There's a
some
bunch of other cool
living room
accessories
energy
like
there.
the Kingdom Management screen. This is a GM screen that on one side has all kinds of stuff that you would need to run your kingdom. Kingmaker, after all, is a campaign about carving the wilderness and maintaining it as its ruler. And then on the outside, it's got the Stolen Lands map of the
I hope they listen to
location
feedback on
that you
kingdom
will be,
management.
now, that's a fun thing to look at when your GM is protecting their notes. You also will end up, as players, having a kingdom tracker. This is like a character sheet for your kingdom. And you can track all the important details. That is an accessory that comes out in September and October. We also have the poster map folio, long out of print, and this is the new version.
I apologize for the
and this has
video
got a full map
quality.
of
I
the
don't know if I
Stolen
should
Lands,
refresh
couple of other
it, if
key,
that's going to help.
encounter locations, and then we have 3 flip mat 2-packs. This is the only one I grabbed from the office. This is the flip mat Noble Manor, but we also have River Kingdom Ruins and a campsite. So that's going to be really helpful whether you're playing Kingmaker or not. So all this stuff is designed to work with the Kingmaker campaign, but it will also transport to other campaigns very, very easily. So on top of that, like I said, we've got slipcases, we've got some backer exclusive stuff like coins
Eric
and what have
talks
you.
a lot. It
Lots
gives me
of
little
cool
space
stuff,
to butt
all
in.
coming very shortly. It is in our
I wonder if this is
warehouse now, most
pre-recorded.
of it. Barring any last minute holdups at the port, we should be on track to get that out to backers just next month. So thanks to everyone
He has
for their
not flipped a
support
single
and for
word,
their patience.
but
I'm
he has
happy to report
practice.
we are finally pretty much there, and we could not be happier with the final product. Kingmaker for 2nd, 1st, and 5th edition is going to be one of the most ambitious, most exciting projects Paizo's ever done, and I'm very excited to say that it's finished. So hooray! So with that behind us, let's take a look at the route forward, and I am going to call up my PowerPoint, and a cavalcade of imagery is about to begin. So let's get this started. All right, let's get into it. Welcome to the GenCon update. You can see here an image from our newly released Dark Archive sourcebook for Pathfinder. But before we get back to Pathfinder, I'd like to spend a little bit of time talking about Finder. Starfinder is in the midst of a very exciting event right now known as Drift Crisis. So the Drift Crisis sourcebook came out in May of this year and is currently available on store shelves, and that kicks off pretty much a year-long story event within the Starfinder galaxy. What's happening during the Drift Crisis is that the Drift, our hyperspace dimension, is malfunctioned. In fact, it crashed. And when that happened, it spat out different portions of the multiverse into real space. It sucked some of the people traveling through the Drift into different realities, different dimensions, different planes, and it is rewriting the connections between different planets. The space routes.
I wonder if there's Pathfinder crossovers. I'm wondering
during this
why they've hyped this
event
so much.
And so, of course, in the context
what
of that,
transition this means for
new
Starfinder.
opportunists are trying to make the most of it. Piracy is on the rise, and really the Drift Crisis helps to answer the question of, okay, so why play Starfinder right now? What's happening right now? And the answer is it's the Drift Crisis, and we'll be exploring the Drift Crisis in a variety of different manners. The first one is the Drift Crasher adventure path. This is the current adventure path for Starfinder. It comes in the form of 3 standalone 64-page adventures that together combine.
They've already announced crossovers, Luminous Mage, and
that takes you from 1st to about 11th level.
Organized play?
They will release. They've already released in June. Another one releases this month in August, and then the final volume will release in October, so every other month. In Drift Crashers, the crew of the starship Murata finds itself stranded and shunted from the drift into hell itself. Their starship now has the power to travel anywhere in space and time after merging with the enemy ship of a pack of devils. And then they crash through parallel universes, face strange versions of themselves, and reach an apocalyptic future where everyone they know is dead. Then it's off to save a Solarian monastery from a black hole, a side trip to Desna's personal home inside a star, and a final confrontation with their diabolical nemesis in a 4-dimensional tesseract. Drift Crashers, and here's a look at what one of the individual volumes
going
looks
back
like.
in time to Pathfinder. Are we?
Drift Crashers is crazy. It is like every volume is a very special episode. I'm thinking of like episodes like Yesterday's Enterprise from Star Trek The Next Generation, or the Mirror Universe episodes. Any kind of science fiction adventure that shunts you to a different dimension that has some familiarity but is a different place. Each episode of Drift Crashers is going to send the player characters into one such very special episode. This is one of the most unbridled creative adventure paths Starfinder has ever put out, and it puts your player characters right at the center of an interstellar disaster and how they deal with the ramifications of being caught at moment 1 of the Drift Crisis. Tells the whole story of the Drift Crashers adventure path. As with most adventure paths, of course, it is an adventure sourcebook hybrid. There are all kinds of interesting NPCs to meet, befriend, destroy, and this one has got some really special ones, so I wanted to give you a look at some of them here. Lots of great characters. One of the cool things about Starfinder is just the vast variety of aliens you might meet during the course of your adventures, and the Drift Crashers is going to take you even further afield than we've ever gone before. So that is the first big adventure component of the Drift Crisis, and that is on store shelves now and coming out through.
I got my tinfoil hat on.
We also have
Pathfinder
a number
crossovers.
of standalone adventures in the Starfinder line. Not all of them
simply
are directly
one-shots, but things with a definite aim to.
And a good example of that is this adventure, Redshift Rally. This is out now, or it's coming out this month. It is 7th level adventure.
Among them.
On the 20th anniversary of the Absalom Run Starship Race, the heroes step in after an accident and must help Redshift Revolution Starship manufacturer team beat their dastardly competitors to win the rally. Redshift Rally by Jessica Catalan is a very exciting adventure where you play the crew of a racing team. There are space races, there are land races, there are planetary adventures, there's dealing with the media, there's dealing with other teams of racers like the ones we the Starfinder's Future allows us the opportunity to tell some stories that would never be appropriate for Pathfinder, and that's where things like mass media and just the idea of huge starship races comes into play. And of course, it being a Starfinder adventure, we promise an explosive finish. Another big adventure coming out this year. In September, we are releasing a compilation of the Dead Suns Adventure Path. This is the very first Starfinder adventure path that we ever published, now brought together for the first time, all 6 volumes together under 2 hardcovers. So this is going to be our very first hardcover adventure compilation for Starfinder. It repackages and updates the Dead Suns Adventure Path. The early volumes of the Dead Suns Adventure Path are both some of our best-selling adventures that Paizo has ever published, and also out of print and getting hard to find. So we wanted to make sure that folks who wanted to jump in on Starfinder literally at the very beginning had a great and easy opportunity to do that. That is the Dead Suns Adventure Path, and it comes out in hardcover in September. Just
I suppose press the like button, everybody. I suppose that'll help this be prominent.
Dead Suns. I think this monster has probably killed more Starfinder characters than any other since the beginning of the game. Lots of cool events to recreate and revisit, or visit for the very first time if you never had a chance to play Dead Suns back when it
The audio sounds like it's skipping either because my stream sucks or because this is pre-recorded.
That everyone remembers or soon will know. And then here
Eric's
are
probably getting that drink of water,
them, including Luisa El Cibo, the first seeker of the Starfinder Society, which we'll be coming back to a little bit later in this presentation. But lots of fun characters to encounter, including some new ones. Hey, check it out! Interstellar Species is our next hardcover rulebook for the Starfinder line. Interstellar Species comes out in November. It's a 192-page source book, and it provides 25 deep dives on some of the most popular species that you can play as characters in Starfinder. So we have, here you see, for example, there's all kinds of different species, including some folks who just want to get some online cred by taking pictures of themselves at huge titanic battles against the Swarm. And this book is going to take 25 creatures and give you a full treatment. So one of the neat things about Starfinder is over the course of 4 alien archives and the number of back matter articles in the adventure paths, we have introduced a huge number of playable species.
That's a good idea.
But a lot of times the reality is
a lot of them are spread out.
To do a couple of paragraphs of special powers and some background stuff for them. This book takes 25 and goes deeper into
I think one of the main appeals, at least with the students I have, is just the variety of races,
cultural detail,
ancestries,
popular
in Starfinder
species.
So this sounds like a good idea.
In addition to that,
I'll say though, I really wanted to eat.
Uplifted Bear is hugely popular in Starfinder, by the way. So here we have a sports star, Uplifted Bear. Lots of cool other aliens as well. And then one of the really coolest things about this book, Interstellar Species, is that it introduces a brand new class for the Starfinder game. That class being
I was going to joke about there being a crossover with Spelljammer.
The Evolutionist went through extensive play testing, and we appreciate all of the help with that. And the final version will be coming out in November in Interstellar Species. So the Evolutionist is a really exciting class to play, and it gives you the opportunity to modify your character kind of as you go. So you can transform yourself over time into an eldritch being, a mechanized construct, a sepulchral undead, or a riot of biological potential, each with unique abilities and drawbacks should you allow your transformation to go out of control. You can gain and spend mutation points during combat to gain extra abilities, and you have free and cheaper augmentations. Plays into a lot of the individual species rules in the book as well.
But also like a headache for a GM. The player better know their character.
And then here, 3 types of evolutionists as well. So there's lots of different variety
look at that on the
within
left.
a class
My kids
that
would
in and
love
of
that.
itself provides a ton of different varieties.
It looks like you could just push them over like a Weeble.
So again, November, Interstellar Species, huge rulebook release for the Starfinder role-playing game.
I don't know
Let's get back to the
how hard it is, Bernardo,
to adventures,
to convert.
because starting in
I think it's
November,
more the...
starting in December, we are also launching the Drift Hackers adventure path.
It might
So
be
this thing actually
premature
starts
for
at
the
7th
life
level, so
cycle
the
of
first one
one
takes you up to 7.
Starfinder.
This
to
is a
convert.
follow-on to that, so you can play each individually. But whereas Drift Crashers was all about being sucked into the cataclysm of the Drift Crisis as it's happening, Drift Hackers is all about exploring what's going on and hopefully putting an end to the Drift Crisis and bringing a sense of balance and stability back to the Starfinder galaxy. So this, over the course of 3 adventures that start
Hack
in
the planet.
December and come out bi-monthly,
Hack time.
this is going to tell the conclusion of the Drift Crisis storyline, and it is December, February, and April. So the lack of response to the Drift Crisis by the goddess Triune, who gave the drift to the people of the galaxy, has sent her domain, Eluvion, at the center of the drift into chaos. Triune's faithful have fractured into warring factions. All the while, the mysterious architects responsible for the Drift Crisis consolidate their power in Triune's main temple. The PCs must help heal the divide and bring an end to the Drift Crisis. So here's a look at the first volume of the Drift Hackers Adventure Path. Lots of beautiful things going on, lots of
An
interesting
uplifted
stuff
bear
happening in the
space
drift as you approach a
monster,
and lots of battles to come. It is a difficult.
Ooh, someone has a battle chair in the background.
Political problem between the gods that make up the goddess Triune.
Yep, Starfinder art is wild. I love it.
And some of them are perhaps up to no good. So this will be an opportunity to jump into that mystery and have the players do some real heroics that bring some
folks, people
and
excited
some,
about Spelljammer.
much
check it
needed
out.
sanity to the Starfinder universe in the wake of the Drift Crisis. Here are
and I
some
caught
of
that the Drift Crisis was caused by some organization.
Love these guys.
Sounds interesting.
And that is the Drift Hackers Adventure Path. After that, I want to talk a little bit about To Defy the Dragon. This adventure is a standalone adventure, comes out in November. It's a great way to follow up perhaps Drift Hackers or any of the other shorter adventure paths that we've done. And check it out. This is a classic fantasy story brought to science fantasy. So on the planet Genrovis, a dragon has taken over. And not just taken over a cave, but taken over cities, corporations, etc. And it's up to the player characters to try to unseat that dragon and save the planet. And in doing so, they'll of course have to interact with a variety of interesting and exciting NPCs who will lead them to the one weapon that will allow 10th level characters to fight against a powerful dragon. And that, of course, are giant ancient mechs. So through the course of the adventure, you track down these giant mechs, you find them, you bring them back to life, and while wearing them and piloting them, you use the mechs to fight directly against the dragon. So this in some ways is your classic Slay the Dragon adventure, albeit in a new science fantasy context that brings some of the mech rules into play, and it's going to be a really titanic battle between dragons and mechs.
Yeah, I'm surprised there hasn't been a
To
mech
Defy the Dragon
adventure
that
path.
comes out in November. Following up, we have got a accessory that I'm pretty excited about. This comes out in March of 2023. So we're in 2023 now, folks. We are going to be releasing the Deck of Endless NPCs. We just put out a very similar product for this for Pathfinder that people are digging. It's, of course, based on the Deck of Many Worlds for Starfinder that we put out a couple years ago. And with the drawing of 4 cards, you can create over 1 million different combinations of NPCs. So your players are in a spaceport, they run into an unusual NPC, and you just don't have anything off the top of your mind. You can draw 4 cards, you get their species, you get their motivation, you get their secret motivation, and you get a bunch of other details that are going to allow you to weave that character right into your campaign seamlessly. Your players won't even know that just didn't come from your copious prep. So Deck of Endless NPCs coming March 2023. Very exciting accessory for Starfinder. Now, the Drift Crisis is over by the time we get into 2023, but in its wake, it leaves a vast amount of change in the Starfinder galaxy. And one way that we're going to be following up on that is through this standalone adventure anthology called Drift Crisis Case Files. Drift Crisis Case Files contains 3 short mystery adventures where people have come to the Eyes Wide Agency that the player characters are appended to, and they need help. Maybe a relative went missing during the Drift Crisis. Maybe a key item was lost when they were forced to be refugees and flee from their homes. There are 3 different adventures with 3 different flavors, and it's all about detectives following up on mysteries created by the Drift Crisis. So that will work with or without the Drift Crisis, but they are lots of cool mystery adventures in the first adventure anthology that we have ever put out for Starfinder. That also comes out in March. Now, something very exciting that we have not yet talked about.
I'm hoping there'll be futuristic options
Ports of Call
announced for Pathfinder 2e this next year
hardcover
that
book.
is going to reflect the Drift Crisis and also be a
2023
testing ground
so it is
for
the next
Starfinder
races
and
for Starfinder
super
following
tech.
interstellar
That would be
species.
nice.
And one of the cool things about the Drift Crisis is that it has rewritten what we call the drift lanes, the routes through hyperspace that dictate how long it takes to go from one place to another. And in doing so, it has opened up a whole vast array of new locations for your player characters to visit, explore, and adventure within. So Ports of Call has got several of those locations. It's got 10 that we go into really great depth on, 10 that we go into a little bit less depth on, so we're covering 20 total locations, plus a handful of just quick snippets about other key spaceports in the Starfinder galaxy. So this goes probably more closer to the ground level than a lot of the setting stuff that we've done before. The idea being your player characters are landing here, let's get them right into the action right away. So there's little adventure hooks, there's NPCs, there's gear that is unique to that location, lore and abilities that you can only learn in those locations. And here's another look at this awesome cover. Like I said, the basis of this is navigating through the new drift lanes, and then you're going to go to lots of different places and meet lots of different critters, a huge variety of locations. But given that there are 20 locations that you can visit in here, it's tempting to say that we've covered everything. But of course, there's one location that Starfinder players can never get to, and that is the planet of Golarion, the setting of the Pathfinder game, presumably in the distant past of the Starfinder universe, but during the mysterious missing time known as the Gap, something happened and Golarion disappeared, leaving only Absalom Station, which once was in its orbit, to mark where the planet once was. So you really can't go back to Golarion. But wait, what's this? Is this aliens meeting Queen Abigail of Cheliax herself? How could that possibly be? Well, my friends, let me welcome you to Golarion World, an amusement planet based around the lore of the missing planet Golarion. Now, there are a lot of missing details given what happened in the Gap and all of the lack of knowledge, but we have done our best to approximate what it was actually like to live on the planet of Golarion in ancient days. Why?
He did say fourth dimension when talking about the Drift Crisis, so I still hold my,
why not stop for an octopus ice cream? And if you're really lucky, you can stand in line and meet a genuine Golarion goblin who will be roaming and making himself available for photographs with you and your family. We ask that you please not tug on the costume. It was very expensive for us to create. But the planet of Golarion World is open to you and all visitors at last when we release the Ports of Call book in May of 2023. Now let's talk about another thing we have not talked about before, and this is a big one.
Okay, you gotta say though, you have to admit, when things start to get teased and baited like that, there usually is something like that. And
this is about as far out as I'm going in this presentation, but I wanted to at least hint at what's coming post.
Otherwise, you just piss everybody off.
And that is the Scoured Stars Adventure Path. Now you might notice a pretty significant difference. This is a hardcover book. So when we wrap the Drift Hackers Adventure Path, we're going to be experimenting with a new format when it comes to Starfinder Adventure Paths, and that is we're doing them all at once.
We're almost hitting 200
viewers. Hardcover books, and we're starting with a very special Adventure Path based on the first season of Starfinder Society Organized Play Scenarios. I said the first seeker, Luisa El Cibo, would make a return appearance. There she is on the right. This is the story of the formation of the modern era of the Starfinder Society. So as the campaign begins, the player characters are adventurers who want to get involved in this interstellar adventuring society, but the society has seen better days. In fact, most of its leadership and members were recently lost in a dangerous part of space known as the Scoured Stars.
So this is 3 adventure paths.
What we have done with this book is we have taken 12 original Pathfinder or Starfinder Society scenarios, heavily updated them for play at home, and stitched them together into a collective narrative that they already were. But this is going to be a series of, a lot of them are kind of one-offs. So a lot of them are like, go and this is the planet of this week, and this is the planet of next week. But it's all within the context of rebuilding the Starfinder Society and exploring the Scoured Stars. This is a project that we've been working on for about a year now, under the guidance of Thurston Hillman, who is our new managing creative director of
Mookie.
the Starfinder
they
line.
They have 826 watching theirs. This is great. 1,000
the
people.
Scoured Stars scenarios the first time around, and now we are bringing them, fully updating them again for home play. You will be able, I believe, to play this for Starfinder Society credit again as well if you'd like. And then this will be the very first adventure path under this new format. And I will say, a few months later, we've got another adventure path coming. So we have plans for like 3 or 4 of these in the future, and indefinitely going on forward. So Starfinder is definitely something we are supporting wholeheartedly, and we're just trying to give it a little bit of an experimentation on the format. We want to see what it's like when people have the opportunity to buy the adventure pass all at once rather than have to watch
TRDG.
They
do
6 months.
Sorry, I'm commenting
and
to a
we'll see
Twitch
how it goes.
person.
But this is Scoured Stars Adventure Path, 256 pages, comes out in July. Should take about 70 hours to play. It'll take you from levels 1 to 15. So lots of adventure content packed into this book. A really exciting new future.
Yeah,
for
spaceship
Starfinder
combat is too clunky.
In,
my students and I,
the
our 2 efforts to do Starfinder fizzled
I should
a
point
bit
out also that the next adventure path 100%
for different
new,
reasons, but also
not,
they were used to Pathfinder
revisiting,
2e, so that might have been a
Starfinder
factor.
Society
It's hard
content.
to,
This is just a special
it makes
celebratory
you miss
one.
the
Then we'll
elegance
get
of
back to
Pathfinder
the
2e
brand
when
new
you're
stuff.
switching back and forth.
It couldn't be more brand new than the next one that we're about to announce in a few months. But I can't talk about it now because I can't talk about everything, and I still got to talk about lots more. Okay, let's talk
saw the clock. He's halfway through. He's like,
Starfinder Society.
he's got to go through his Pathfinder content too.
Rise started in May, as the Starfinder Society struggles in the aftermath of the devastating Data Scourge digital attacks. They embark upon a year of change, aiming to rebuild
absolutely
a
has
better,
no time to
stronger
interact
society.
with chat.
The Starfinder's
so
plans for a brighter tomorrow pit them against opportunistic criminals, internal corruption, and a secretive criminal organization with a century-old
Erik does inhale, I
connection
think.
to the Starfinder Society.
He probably has
So no need to wait. You can get involved in Starfinder Society adventures right now, either by, if you're at GenCon, head up to the Sagamore Ballroom and we'll get you seated at a game, or hop over to paizo.com/GenCon, join our Discord, and get involved with GenCon online programming through organized play and the Starfinder Society. So we welcome you to join the Year of Redemption's Rise, and we welcome you indeed to check out all of the Starfinder stuff I have just talked about. So, with Starfinder, having talked about Starfinder, let's talk a little bit about
Pathfinder. What's this picture about?
And the big news of Pathfinder, in fact, news of the week, is the Dark Archive. This is the newest hardcover book for the Pathfinder game, and it is the 2nd edition answer to the paranormal. So this is a guide to paranormal themes that is based around the eponymous Dark Archive itself, which was a faction of the Pathfinder Society Adventurers Guild, but as a bit of a background and a fun kind of way to track the various chapters of this, what we've done is we've set Dark Archive up as a series of folios that come into the possession of the player characters, each on a different subject of paranormal interest. Anything from cults to cryptids to time travel to all kinds of spooky
If it's like the first
stuff.
half, he's going to go chronologically.
Here we see a lantern
kind of
piercing the veil to other
over
worlds
this next
where
year.
we're being observed by demons themselves. Here we've got a ritual that gets you in contact with your past lives. Lots of stuff on unusual creatures and mindscapes.
I actually have not read much of Dark Archive outside the 2
windows
classes.
into
I did
other
a lot of
worlds
work
and
for my
time.
videos.
There's even some stuff about time travel in Dark Archive.
And on
Each
the
of the
Curses
individual
video.
folios has a short adventure that goes with it. So if you want to immerse yourself in how this stuff interacts with the world, you can do that. And all of those folio adventures even
That's a
link
thaumaturge
together
on the right.
into a sort of mini campaign you can play over a variety of levels that tell a story
Thaumaphrodite.
of the secrets that are hidden in the Dark Archive
Thaumatode.
folios themselves. Here's a couple of the characters you might meet during the course of that, or a couple of looks at archetypes from itself. Some monsters in
Frogmaturge.
this book as well. There's lots of spells and lore and feats
I
and
have the
other
urge
character
for
abilities that you can
Frogmaturge.
add along the thematic lines of each of the individual folios. And then let's talk a little bit about the two new character classes that are presented in this book. On the left there, we have Phthalion, the Psychic. Psychics allow you to focus your character around a psychic power beyond just telekinesis spells. You can throw stuff around, wield swords at a distance, stop arrows in midair, and you can do it all day long. You specialize in reusable cantrips and focus spells. There's 24 different types of psychic, and each one is a combination of your conscious, which is like
That's
what
the
you cast,
That's the
and
best
your
one. You win,
subconscious,
Beamers.
which is how you cast it. So there's a lot of different variety within the psychics itself. On the right, we have our second class in this book. That is Mios, our iconic thaumaturge. The thaumaturge is a more classic sort of occultist character. It's the quintessential magic dabbler / detective that lets you play all sorts of occult monster hunters, and they're steeped in a more ceremonial and symbolic type of mysticism than a baseline wizard and cleric. So they have lots of story hooks and mystic flavor. And how it works is you have a wide range of implements and feats that draw from every magical tradition. There are 9 implements total, and over the course of your character's career, you'll be able to specialize in 3 of them. The implement might be something like an enchanted lantern or a variety of other different magical implements that are going to make each thaumaturge more or less unique. It is a full martial class that allows you to deal more damage to creatures based on classic fantasy weaknesses. So, for example, if you are facing werewolves, the thaumaturge is the one who's making sure that you have silvered weapons and can do even more damage with them against the foes that he knows or that they know. The Dark Archive provides an eclectic variety of rules themed around 8 different types of paranormal phenomena.
Eclectic. I got some rules wrong.
And there's lots of cool gear, spells, etc. in the Dark Archive. The Dark Archive is out right now. You can pick it up at the Paizo booth at your friendly local game store or your favorite online retailer. Now, let's talk about some adventures. So Pathfinder Bloodlord's Adventure Path is happening right now.
Days ago.
The first volume is already out. This is a 6-volume adventure path. Takes you from first level all the way up closer to 20. So this is going to take 6 months for us to publish monthly. Pathfinder Adventure Path format is remaining monthly 96 pages for the foreseeable future, not changing like the Starfinder one is. We are cresting toward a very special volume 200 in 2024, and geez, it feels like we're almost there. Crazy to think that we have done about 189 volumes of Pathfinder Adventure Path thus far, but we are as excited about what's coming in the future than we are about anything we've done in the past. And one of the things that we're super stoked about right now is the Bloodlord's Adventure Path. So here's a look at an individual volume of Bloodlords. And in the Bloodlords Adventure Path, you play the agents of the Bloodlords. They are the undead, usually, aristocracy of the Kingdom of Geb, which is largely inhabited by undead. In fact, if you want to play undead creatures in the Bloodlord's Adventure Path, you certainly can. We are not making this an explicitly evil campaign,
There's a
but
district
it
in
is
the starting
explicitly a
town called the
non-good
Meat Market.
campaign. So you are
wonder
going
what that's
to
about.
explore some darker themes in this one. You
Kick
start
the
off
cow.
doing pretty menial work here, helping with some
Cow
farmland in rural Geb, where zombies harvest food for the living inhabitants of the nation, and you've got to help the Bloodlords do some problems there. And from there, things go from bad to worse as ghouls and nasty undead come into play. You
the
start
implements
at
are a
the
little
lower
complicated,
ends of
but
Gebite
the
society,
text is
dealing
there
with
to answer
smaller
questions I
things.
found.
And as time goes on, you start dealing with the movers and shakers, and indeed, you even
are those
end
the
up
Bloodlords?
becoming Bloodlords of Geb yourselves. As usual with Pathfinder Adventure Paths, they are a hybrid adventure source book, and they contain a bunch of fun NPCs and monsters for you to encounter, like these folks. And I just couldn't resist this flying cauldron image.
Oh,
Absolutely
awesome.
love it, love it, love it. Lots of cool stuff that really explores the entire culture of
Oh, that looks like an
Geb,
undead goblin queen.
with the characters right in the middle of the action.
Or hobgoblin queen.
And we'll be coming back to Geb
With,
in a
like-
bit here, but let's move on and talk about the Lost Omens Travel Guide. The Lost Omens Travel Guide is releasing this month in
Zolgathor, that was on the
August.
cover? The
And
cow kicking? That's great.
It is a 128-page guide to the culture of the world of Golarion. So we've given you the history, we've given you the geography, we've talked a little bit about some of the peoples and the various factions in the world, and this is a real deep dive on the culture itself. This is a book that we've wanted to do since before second edition. This book gives lots of information about what it's like to actually live in the world of Golarion. So there are spreads about fashion, there are spreads about architecture and some of the most famous
I wonder if this is
structures and
written like
locations
a,
throughout the world. Lots of overviews
Vogue
of topics
magazine,
like this,
or at least that section
in
was,
the travel guides. Of course, a
fashion
big overview
advice.
on holidays and the rituals associated with them and how they play into various societies in Golarion. A look at a wide variety of characters, including some discussion on sports and other
She's
cultural
working those
things
pants
like
in the middle.
games of chance. So we go into detail on a lot of these things. There's a couple of recipes in this book with food that you can make yourself and really immerse yourself into the world of Golarion. And of course, there's items and feats and different abilities that you can pick up that are related to the cultural topics that we're discussing in this 128-page
burrito
source book
on the
that
right?
releases this month. Following that up is a book, boy, I always say I'm excited about this, I'm excited about that. I'm truly excited about this. This is the Lost Omens Impossible Lands. This is the next in our series of a sub-series of books in the Lost Omens line that goes really deep on one of the major regions that we announced in the very
Like
first
Absalom and Moangi
core
Expanse.
rulebook, actually. The section on the Inner Sea talks about 10 or 12 different large regions, and we've been exploring each one of those as we go through the Lost Omens line year by year. So we've already done the Moangi Expanse, we've done the city of Absalom, and now the next one is the Impossible Lands. One of the cool things about nations that are covered in this book, and those nations are
This would be cool
the
for my Rise of the
Graveland-
Runelords
nope,
conversion
sorry,
campaign.
That is a different book. They are Nex, a land
Wait,
of
I'm not sure if
wizards.
Impossible... no, I'm thinking of
Ebb,
another
the undead land.
region.
These pictures don't necessarily correlate to what I'm saying.
This is
The
Vudra.
Mana Wastes, which is the land that is scarred by battles between the Archmages Geb and Nex in ancient days, that have left their scars across both kingdoms, but especially the land in between. This here's a look at Jalmaray, which is a outpost of the Eastern Empire of Vudra, sort of our East Indian analog, if you will, right off the east coast of Garund. Here's a look at those Mana Wastes. And then also, here's more next, but we'll also be looking at the Duchy of Alkenstar, which we touched on in Guns and Gears, and this is finally a deeper dive on that region as well. Lots of interesting denizens to encounter. One of the neat things about the world of Golarion is from the very start, we sort of set up the Inner
like the
Sea at the
slug.
center of our map, and the further north and south you go from there, the kind of weirder that it gets. And it doesn't really get weirder than the Impossible Land. At least part of the map. I will note Garand goes even further south, and we'll get there eventually. This is very near the edge of the map, and there are some quite unusual creatures, including 5 new ancestries for you to be. So I want to go over those right now. On the left here, we have the Vinara, which is sort of inspired by the monkey people of the East. And they are fun ancestry, very popular in first edition, finally coming to second edition in Impossible Lands. Next to them, we have the Gorons. The Gorons are sentient plant people who started their life as magical food created in the land of Nex by druids, and meant to sustain life in an otherwise sort of blasted landscape. And the Gorons, over thousands of years, developed sentience and humanoid characteristics as a defense mechanism to stop people from eating them, because no matter what they try, they can't get away from the fact that a Goron is inherently delicious. So they need all the tricks they can to get people to stop trying
That's
to
an
cut them up and
interesting,
put them on their plates.
predicament
Next
to be.
we have the Nagaji, which are snake folk.
I thought
the East as
Nagaji...
well.
I didn't know that they had
very
legs.
appropriate for the Impossible Lands. We have the Vishkanya, which are poison-blooded folk. And they are mostly coming in by way of Vudra and Jalmaray, but are populous in
Rhino
Nex
race
especially.
with
And
a,
then we have the Keshrishi, which
otter.
are a brand new ancestry of fun little rhino people. So lots of different varieties of new ancestries in this book. So we're going to explore
Both
a
Watsi
location
and-
called the Isle of Bopan, which is off
And Paizo
the
are trying
coast
to, you know, get the cute animals.
of
They're trying to
Garud,
like
and
grab
was
them.
it was most recently the subject of some exploration in the
Oh no, what's up with my
Pathfinder Society organized play program,
I
but
should
was
refresh,
mentioned
let me know,
all the way
chat.
back in Pathfinder Adventure Path Volume number 1. So we're finally getting to some of the animal people of the island of Bopan, which ties heavily into the history of the Pathfinder Society. So a big 344-page guide to the Impossible Lands joins Absalom and the Mwangi Expanse in our deep dives on some of our huge meta regions. And this is a very exciting one for us. People have been wanting more detail on these locations, which didn't get much, honestly, in first edition. So this is a new opportunity to really dive deep into some of these lands for the very first time. And we could not be more excited about it.
Paizo stream.
All
has
right,
got
speaking of
900
excitement,
viewers.
let's talk about the March 2023 release in the Lost Omens line, and that is Firebrands. So Firebrands takes a look at one of the most important factions of Pathfinder 2nd Edition. In some ways, it's a kind of a chaotic adventurer, freedom fighter, rebel, rabble-rouser faction. I like to call them rebels with a cause. They, generally speaking, are on the right side of history, trying to fight against things like oppression, slavers, etc. And they're very successful.
People just joining in. We've
so that's a
gotten
major
Lost
part of our
Omens
setting,
announcements mainly.
is the Firebrands, and so how do
Bloodlords
you
and Dark Archive.
join that organization? How do you play them? How do you represent the values of the Firebrands? This is a 128-page source book. They can be freedom fighters. They can be political agitators. Here we see very important fight against the oppressive forces of Cheliax, alongside Shensen, who is an ongoing NPC who is a member of the Firebrands. So a lot of deep dives into that. Very popular type of player character, kind of across the board in Pathfinder games. And so this is going to have lots of gear,
You went to
lore,
Slug Ancestry.
and archetypes and other powers
You'll get
and abilities.
It's just one of
for
several.
characters who are interested in that, or GMs who want to explore these themes in their campaigns. There's going to be an overview of some of the deities who are most commonly followed by members of the Firebrands. Here we have Callistria and Grandmother Spider, Besmara, the Pirate Queen, Arshay, Champion of the Oppressed.
The Firebrands
There's
have a lot of
more.
funny
I could have put
feats.
tons more of these in the presentation, but
They're
I
like
gotta
celebrity,
move on, folks. Some
know.
other really cool NPCs.
Think of adventure
in
streamers.
the book itself, and lots of story hooks and updates on what the Firebrands are getting into all across the Inner Sea region and beyond. That joins the Pathfinder Society guide, as well as the Knights of Lastwall, to cover another major faction that was first introduced in the Lost Omens World Guide, or Character Guide, and we're just continuing to go deeper and deeper. And up next is the Firebrands, and that, like I said, comes out in March of 2023.
Yeah, we didn't hear them say archetypes.
As well. All right, this is Crown of the Kobold.
Or maybe I missed it.
Crown of the Kobold King is a compiled 128-page adventure that represents some of the very earliest adventures that we ever published as a company. So the Crown of the Kobold King
They're consciously
is
leaning
a
into
collection
kobolds
of a couple of
edition.
different early adventures that we did. The first,
It was in the
the
beginner
most
box.
important one being Crown of the Kobold King itself, which is a classic dungeon crawl that was for first level by Nick Logue, a very popular writer back in our Dungeon magazine days. And we contacted Nick and got him to write a new level of the dungeon.
Yay,
for
Nicholas
this
Logue. I love him.
in celebration
Some great
of
stuff.
2022, because 2022, although it's not Pathfinder's anniversary, it is Paizo's 20th anniversary, and as these have been very critical products for Paizo, we thought it'd be fun to re-release and update them to Pathfinder 2nd Edition in 2022. So this is coming out in August. So it's coming out this month. I've actually got a copy here on my desk, and it looks gorgeous. So
yeah,
it
they are the
collects
Goblins
Crown
of
the Kobold
Winnie.
King,
Yes, I agree with that.
kobolds all over the place in this thing, of course. It also collects Hollow's Last Hope, which was our very first standalone adventure that we did for the very first Free RPG Day back around 2006, 2007. And it also includes Hungry Are the Dead, which was a follow-up to Crown of the Kobold King. What happens when the seals of a lower level of the dungeon are broken and undead pour into the world. That also helped to presage the return of the Whispering Tyrant. So that was such an important event for the transition between first and second edition. If you're interested in the backstory on that, this is a good place to look. One neat thing about these adventures is they predate Pathfinder as a standalone RPG system and were originally published for the 3.5 edition of the world's oldest role-playing game. And so it includes some monsters like Varghouls here or Grix.
They call it the
never
world's
really
oldest
found a home
role-playing
in
game now.
Pathfinder,
That's
but now
their,
we've brought to Pathfinder second
word
edition,
they've
so we use the
chosen.
stats for some of those classic monsters as well. So some
There was
returning
another
old
adventure,
friends
Return of the
in
Kobold King, which I don't
Chronicle
think they're
King.
including.
Adventures will look at
I think
itself.
it's after
So a
Hungry
really
Are the
great
Dead,
way
if
to
I'm not
start off
mistaken.
a Pathfinder second edition campaign, and a nice way to revisit a classic adventure of Pathfinder's past. Speaking of classic adventures, in January we're releasing the Fists of the Ruby Phoenix adventure path in hardcovers. That'll be a 256-page hardcover adventure path compilation similar to the Abomination Vaults adventure path that we just released.
There's going to be a
In
5e
fact, it's a
version.
great follow-up to that.
Well,
because
actually,
it starts
can
at
you
11th
do a
level, which is
5e
right
high
where that
level?
adventure path leads off. So if you want to have the heroes of Otari join up in an international fighting tournament,
So
this is your opportunity
there's
to take their
obviously,
adventures
for
halfway
people who
across
get
the
through
world
Abomination
and to
Vaults,
the
it gives them
next
something
level.
else to
We'll be
jump
releasing a
into.
special edition of that adventure path and some battle cards to go with it as well in January of 2023. Also coming in 2023 is Gatewalkers, a paranormal themed adventure path that runs monthly from January to March. It starts at first level, and in Gatewalkers, the player characters and a number of strangers have all had a recent event where they pass through a magical gateway, and they have missing time after that. They do not know certain things that happened following that event, and all they know is that they emerged with mysterious psychic power. So you can play any class that you want. It's going to be great for psychics and thaumaturges from the Dark Archive. This adventure path will be a perfect companion for the Dark Archive, but it'll work for everybody. There are strange gates that take you to lots of different locations in the world of Golarion, and there's something out there. The truth is out there, my friends, and the Gatewalkers Adventure Path will be your opportunity to
Tinfoil
explore
hat
it,
about
learn
Starfinder
from
crossover.
it, and develop your inner psychic power. So that is Gatewalkers. And here's a look at the first volume of that, again releasing in January from our old friend James L. Sutter. And some looks at the interior art of the first volume. This is pretty far out, so this is cutting edge stuff, brand new. Some of the foes that you'll meet, some of the friends. I absolutely love this little porcupine hedgehog guy. So I'll hear no bad words about him. I'll protect him with my very life itself. All right, let's talk about the next hardcover book for Pathfinder, and that
Is this the big release before next year's
the
GenCon?
Treasure Vault. So Treasure Vault releases in February of 2023. So it is the next book following the newly released Dark Archive. This is a massive
I've only heard a little about
tome
this.
filled with new and returning magic items and gear. The sort of framing device is that it's all gear that exists within this dragon's vault, and the little kobold you see on the cover there is your guide through the various chambers of the treasure vault. There's, of course, coverage of classic magic items like wands and staves, but also we're going to get into some even more in-depth crafting rules so you can make your own magical gear. There's a whole chapter on that. Chapter on alchemy that includes over 100 new alchemical items. There's magical tattoos and a variety of other new forms of magic. There's tons and tons and tons of items. This is going to be a great resource for GMs who are looking for ways to spice up their treasure piles, and a great sort of shopping list for players who want to plan out some future gear and maybe decide on whether to buy or craft some of the new items that are included in this book. And there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of new items in this book. They are for all different price points. They're going to be useful for all Pathfinder campaigns. The Ultimate Equipment book we did for Pathfinder First Edition was very successful and popular. This is going to be, I think, very popular as well. It's got
So he is-
magical chewing gum. I mean, come on.
Ooh,
that's
magical
awesome.
chewing gum.
So that is coming out in February
so he openly
of 2023.
compared it to
And I would
Ultimate
be
Equipment,
remiss
so
if I
maybe
did
it
not
is-
point out that this book will see the triumphant return of the Earthbreaker and the Falcata, two of the most popular first edition Pathfinder weapons that have not yet made it into second edition will finally make their debut in Treasure Vault.
So
lots more to talk about with
it could be
Treasure
a
Vault in the
go-to
various
reference
panels.
for those
Again,
who want
all of the
to,
stuff I've talked about
gear
will
out
get
their
deeper dives.
adventure.
Go to paizo.com/GenCon
Including,
for a full schedule
previously released
and go to
content,
official
possibly.
Paizo channel
what
on
Ultimate Equipment
twitch.tv
functioned as.
where we've got streaming events going on all weekend long. So let's move into the future and talk about Abomination Vaults 5e. That's coming out in March, a 5th edition version of our Abomination Vaults adventure path. Lots of folks playing 5e out there. You've heard about Pathfinder, have heard about adventure paths, maybe aren't ready to change editions. That's cool. We have got you covered. So this will be a fully integrated 5th edition version of the Abomination Vaults adventure path, probably the most popular
I love that
Pathfinder
artwork.
2nd
The,
edition adventure
ghost
path
at the
we've released
bottom.
to date. Hardcover
I don't think
compilation.
that's in
This
the
for
original.
PF2 has been very successful. People are loving it, and we're excited to bring this to a new, a different game. And this will be coming out in March. Unlike the Kingmaker version, which has a bestiary you use alongside the 2nd edition campaign book, this is all in one. So there's no Pathfinder 2nd edition stuff in here. This is all just native 5e stuff. Should be really easy to run right out of the book, and we're excited to bring that out in March. All right, in April and May and June of 2023, we are announcing a brand new adventure path. This adventure path is called Stolen Fate, and it plays heavily off of the very popular Harrow deck, which is the Pathfinder version of the Tarot. We will be releasing a brand new super deluxe version with all new art of the Harrow deck in April of 2023, and along with this adventure path. When mysterious Harrow cards appear in the hands of a group of adventurers, they find themselves wrapped up in a fight for the very future of reality. What can even the most powerful heroes do if their destinies are stolen? So we'll find out over the course of 3 adventures starting in April 2023. This is an adventure path for levels 11 to 20, which makes it a nice follow-up for a lot of the beginner level stuff we've been publishing lately. We are really stoked about this. The Harrow has been a huge part of the history of Pathfinder, and we are very excited.
Okay, I thought there'd be more Starfinder ties
in
but
April. Another adventure I want to talk about briefly, the Enmity Cycle. Enmity Cycle comes out in April of 2023. It is based in the land of Thuvia. Thuvia is perhaps best known as the source of the elixir of immortality known as the Sun Orchid Elixir. I'd say it's so well known for that that's kind of the only thing a lot of people know about it, and I'm somewhat pleased to report that this adventure has nothing to do with the Sun Orchid Elixir. It is indeed about a missing group of artists and why have they been abducted and to what ends. We'll play a little bit into the clockworks that are very popular in Thuvia. You can see there's a bunch of gremlins on the cover. This is sure to be a lot of fun, and it is sort of like a mid-level thing, like 4th level in there. So a great sort of second adventure for people to play in their campaigning.
Hey, if you want to help my channel, please
really
give a
neat
like.
part of our world
I think
that we
it'll
haven't
help
explored too
get
much. We're
this
excited to get
reaction
there.
out there
And Enmity
in front of more
Cycle,
eyeballs,
starting
and also
in
help
April.
Paizo too.
Okay, here's the next big rulebook, folks. Rage of Elements. This is not the final cover, but this is the book that we are putting out at next year's Gen Con. This will be our summer release.
Kineticist, folks.
And Rage of Elements, like Book of the Dead went deep on Undeath, like Guns and Gears went deep on Clockworks and Gunpowder, the Rage of Elements book will go deep not only on the 4 canonical elements of air, fire, water, and earth, but also we are expanding to include 2 additional elements that are favored in other parts of the world of Golarion, and that will be the planes
Blood Rager as well. Blood Rager.
And the planes of metal. Here we have a worksheet that shows some of Paizo's concept artist Kent Hamilton working with the team on what the plane of wood might look like. And there's a bunch of notes on there, some of which will make it into the final version of the book and some of which won't. But this is stuff that we do to kind of work out how we feel about stuff, how it should look. And it's always really inspirational to provide art like this to our writers and to our other artists so that we have a cohesive look. Kent's been great. The beauty of things like Dark Archive and especially the Book of the Dead, where he did a bunch of work on Geb.
1076 on their stream now. It just jumped up.
Look at the plane of wood.
This is so
I don't
funny.
have in this presentation a look at the plane of metal, but you can check that out at the Exploring Pathfinder and Lost Omens rulebooks panel Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, where they'll go into even more detail in this book and talk a little bit more.
Okay, we're gonna
the
watch that,
planes.
folks. I'm
Here is a
saying
look
that now
at
if I
a
can.
wood elemental.
We're gonna go deep.
We've
They're gonna
got
go
lots
deeper
more
into
of
this
these,
book.
but I'm holding my
I'm gonna watch
powder
that.
because oh boy, are they cool! And it's a long way between now and July. So here's just a hint at one of them. A lot of the wood elementals have these carven aspects to them. Should be really fun. And you know, a lot of players out there have fought fire elementals and air elementals, but you start throwing wood and metal elementals at them, and they are not going to know what to do, and that's always an exciting moment. But speaking of exciting moments, one of the very most exciting things about the Rage of the Elements sourcebook is that it will introduce a new class to Pathfinder 2nd Edition. And when I say a new class, I actually mean one of the very most popular classes from Pathfinder 1st Edition will be making its debut at last in Pathfinder 2nd Edition next summer, and that is the Kineticist. And the reason that I'm talking about the Kineticist and the reason that I'm so excited about the Kineticist today
She grew up.
is that we are introducing a playtest of the Kineticist on Monday.
Oh,
so the
really?
Monday
Oh, crap.
following GenCon. Monday the 8th, I believe it is. Come to Paizo.com.
I expect it's September because it's a lot of work,
and it is
they're coming out of
fully done
GenCon.
with all of the powers for the fire, air, earth, and water elements. We'll be adding wood and metal later on.
Okay, I'm announcing
post-playtest. We
a
wanna
reaction
stick
stream
with
to
the
that.
fundamentals and make sure that we get this right. So the Kineticist is sort of a bender type of character who can use elements to
Very good
their
chance I
heart's
can react to
desire.
that.
And we are delving deep into that and revisiting our old iconic character Yoon. Now, one of the cool things about Pathfinder is that time in the world of Pathfinder moves equivalent to time in our real world. And so when we last checked in with Yoon,
she was
a young girl, and now she is very much a teenager. She has traveled quite a lot around the world, and she is ready to share what she has learned. And here is a look at the new version of her. You can see she still has
Hopefully
her,
it's
her sidekick.
It can be played
owlbear
simply
stuffed
for
animal
those
right
who just
there
want
on
to
her pack,
blast.
although it's missing an eye.
They
and
can be
perhaps
the
seen some
Eldritch
better days.
Blast.
She'll never give that thing up.
Those
It
who
is her
are
best
looking
friend.
for that. From
So
5e.
Yoon is done by
more
Wayne Reynolds,
interesting.
of course, our artist who does all the hardcover covers. He's hard at work on the actual cover of Rage of Elements right now, and I'm sure it's going to be totally amazing, just like all of this stuff.
I missed
and just
a
like this
donation.
Look at Yoon is going to be. So you want to be Yoon? You want to be someone like Yoon? You want to try out the Kineticist? Please come
Hi, Justin Jackson.
to
Thank you.
Paizo.com on
Yeah, I
Monday. Download
I didn't have
the
a
free
wish. I thought there was going to be Blood Rager, though. Maybe that'll be an archetype.
We'll have forums. We'll have surveys.
Because
We'd
I
love
don't
to
know
get
if there
your
needs to
feedback.
be a Blood Rager class.
Feedback from actual play is so valuable to us. We just value it so much. You'll be able even to play this new class in Pathfinder Society Organized Play starting next week. So check this out. We're super excited about it. We can't wait to get your thoughts and feedback on it. Every playtest we have ever done at this company has made the product immeasurably better. So we look forward
Personally,
to your
I
help,
like that
this
there's
time around
one
as well.
class.
So thank you in advance.
I didn't
for
want
your
there to be
input
too much
on the
glut,
Kineticist.
and it tells me
Last
they're
thing I'm going to talk about today
confident in
is
a long
launching
cycle
here
for
at the
2e.
show, and that, of course, is the Pathfinder Society's new season. This new season is the Year of Boundless Wonder. It is playing right now in the Sagamore Ballroom and at on our Discord server. Come to paizo.com/GenCon for more details on how to get involved. The Pathfinder Society has been entrusted with a vast trove of magical relics. In unraveling the mysteries and powers of these magic items, the Society comes face to face with an old nemesis who seeks to use the treasures for her own
The view count on
nefarious
Twitch just
purposes.
went
So as I
up
said,
100
going on
as I
right
was
now in the
looking at it.
Sagamore and online at paizo.com.
Oh, and then down 100.
GenCon, we'd love to have you involved in our long-running Pathfinder Society organized play program where thousands, indeed tens of thousands of gamers are eager to welcome you into the ranks of the Pathfinder Society. Great way to find a group of players if you don't have friends who are
I wanted a
already
technology
into Pathfinder
guy
2nd Edition
to
or Starfinder.
fuel
That's
my
kind of the primary purpose of
Starfinder
the
tinfoil hat
organized play.
theory.
And that brings us to the end of my presentation today.
Oh my God.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so
He
much.
must have
for
I didn't
your
even hear him
support.
drink any water.
It means the world to everybody at Paizo. Thanks to everyone at Paizo, from setting up the booth to getting all the scenarios prepped for play to organizing the convention at every level to holding down the home front while about half of the staff is here in Indianapolis. Thank you, everybody. It's so great to have you all as a member of the Paizo community. It's been an interesting year for us, but it's been great, and there's great things in the future, and we're really happy to have you along with us for the ride. So hopefully you saw some awesome stuff. We are super excited to bring it to you. We'll see you next time when we'll have even more stuff. Check out the seminars, paizo.com/GenCon. There's even more information to come, starting right now. Bye.
All right, this is going to be, I believe, a Start Your Pathfinder adventure. I don't plan to watch it. I don't think there's going to be product announcements. Everybody, before heading out, please give a like. This will help this video with its prominence. Also, I plan to do I'm probably going to do a reaction next tomorrow when they go deeper into Rage of Elements. I actually might not. I'm not sure. It depends on my schedule. But I think once the playtest for the Kineticist gets dropped, I'd like to look at it with you guys. Last year, I did a video on the playtests of the Psychic and the Thaumaturge when those came out. That was a lot of work, and so I'm thinking of something more casual and stream, and we can theory craft and stuff together. So that will be on Monday for sure. So I'll just see if there's any comments here. Thanks for the stream. Yeah, you're welcome. I was hoping, I think there's always people want to have more classes. I think there'll be some disappointment that there's only one. But my view on that is that, I'm hoping they're planning more than a 10-year cycle on this. And I was a little concerned when they were coming out with 8 classes in the first 3 years. And so this tells me they're at least planning for 10 years. And because people would, that generates excitement, the continued drip of classes. Okay, so hype, going to be instantly on that this Monday. Yep, I hope to see you then. Yes, Monday, but I'm going to expect it will be 9 a.m. my time. That'll be my guesstimate. Oh, but people should subscribe if you want to get the notification about when I stream that, because I need to find out when they drop the playtest PDF. So once I figure that out, then I'll know when my stream's going to be, and then I can announce it to you guys. But you're not going to get the notification unless you subscribe. Okay. Yes. All right, good. I'm seeing folks' comments. I'm glad you all enjoyed this, and let's see each other soon. I will see what I can do about tomorrow again. Subscribe if you want the notification about whether I'll stream tomorrow to react to their Rage of Elements deeper dive. Henry, thank you for the contribution. Thank you so much for that. And I will see you all later, definitely on Monday. Subscribe, please, and then you'll get the notifications. Okay, bye-bye.